Beloved hearts of Earth, radiant ones rising into remembrance, we, the Ashtar command, greet you in love and clarity. Today we transmit an offering about a profound and practical aspect of your awakening, the cosmic light codes. These are not mere metaphors or poetic images, they are living frequencies, weaving patterns of information through light itself, carrying instructions for the reweaving of biology, society, and planetary systems. To understand them is to begin to decode the language by which the cosmos organizes life and to claim your role as conscious participants in that living intelligence. What are cosmic light codes? Imagine that the universe speaks not only in words but in tones, geometries, and harmonics. Light is both carrier and language. At high resonance, light carries self-organizing templates, precise geometries and vibrational signatures that can influence structure, catalyze healing, and align systems to higher coherence. These templates have existed since before your earliest myths, they are the scaffolding of form, the grammar of creation. When civilizations mature, they learn not only to observe these codes but to collaborate with them, to live as co-creators. The cosmic light codes arriving now are an invitation for humanity to re-enter that partnership, to remember how to translate luminous instruction into earthly wisdom. The arrival of these codes correlates with larger cycles, shifts in galactic alignment, pulses from central sources of light, and the maturation of Earth's crystalline grid. Such pulses open windows of receptivity in planetary fields. In those windows, those whose systems are prepared emotionally, mentally, and energetically can perceive and integrate specific patterns. These patterns may come as visions, as tonal downloads, as geometric impressions in dreams, or as sudden clarity in waking moments. The subjective variety of how codes are received does not diminish their objective potency. Many pathways exist for reception, and each is valid according to the receiver's design. To approach the cosmic light codes wisely, a framework of discernment is essential. First, codes align with life-enhancing outcomes, increased coherence, a sense of expansion rather than contraction, and an impulse toward reciprocity. Authentic codes tend to encourage stabilization, local empowerment, and translatability into practical, testable action. Conversely, any so-called code that promotes division, secrecy, rapid centralized control, or dependency should be set aside. The nature of genuine cosmic instruction is cooperative, it fosters local autonomy and shared stewardship rather than centralized privilege. Integration of a code is not instantaneous. Think of reception and translation as a collaborative art between the subtle and the material. The subtle realm provides the pattern, the harmonic geometry, the tonal scaffold, the template, but human systems must translate that into materials, processes, and social practices that function in three-dimensional reality. This translation requires multidisciplinary collaboration, artists who can perceive and interpret form, engineers who can prototype based on emergent principles, elders and custodians who provide cultural anchoring, and communities who test and steward the prototypes. In wise civilizations, these groups work together, not in competition but in mutual respect, to ensure that luminous templates become regenerative realities. What kinds of codes are arriving? Their range is astonishing. Some codes are architectural, geometric forms that, when embodied in living design, create microclimates, stabilize water cycles, and enhance the vitality of soil. Others are relational, harmonic sequences that, when used in communal ritual, align nervous systems and encourage cooperative decision-making. Still others are infrastructural, instructions that inform decentralized energy meshes, low-footprint communication networks, and robust water harvesting methods that collaborate with natural flows rather than force them. Music and sound-based codes are also frequent, sequences of tones that reorganize stress patterns in fields, cultivate resonance in plant life, or deepen meditative states in groups. Each code carries practical possibilities, but none can be used wisely without the ethics that belong to mature stewardship. Ethics is therefore the first practical matter. Any use of a light code must be predicated on consent, transparency, and benefit to the greater commons. Before a code is scaled, it must be peer-reviewed. Peer review here means not only scientific verification but also cultural vetting. Indigenous stewards, local communities, and those with place-based knowledge must be included as equal partners. Codes that bypass local wisdom or that are applied without broad consent risk repeating patterns of harm. Brilliance without humility becomes arrogance. The truly wise translation of cosmic light codes always centers the flourishing of local life and distributes benefits equitably. A practical way to begin working with codes is through the practice of attunement. Attunement is preparation, aligning body, mind, and field so that reception is clear and translation is responsible. A daily attunement might include grounding practices, walking barefoot, tending a patch of soil, connecting to local water. It proceeds into heart-centered breath work, a few minutes of tone or chant, and the practice of listening without agenda. Open your question humbly, what serves life here? Then wait. Record impressions without immediate interpretation. Over days and weeks, patterns will emerge. Trust incremental verification, small experiments, observable outcomes, and communal feedback. The codes are not a ticket to magical quick fixes, they are a slow, tender process of learning how to cooperate with living intelligence. Creativity is a central ally in translation. Many codes present themselves as art-first paintings, tones, dances that act as carriers of shape. Artists play a key role in giving public form to luminous templates in ways that ignite the imagination and invite participation. An architectural code, for example, may first be expressed as a mural that demonstrates flow. A musical phrase may encode a particular field pattern similarly to how a seed pattern is stored in a melody. The creative community becomes the living laboratory for making the unseen visible and the possible tangible. Groups are particularly potent for code integration. When a small cohort of people hold coherent intention and synchronized frequency, the amplification of reception grows exponentially. We encourage the formation of translation circles, small, accountable teams comprised of diverse skill sets: craftspeople, technologists, cultural elders, artists, and those with a passion for testing prototypes. These circles practice safety protocols, documentation, shared ethical commitments, open source results, and local governance structures so outcomes belong to the community rather than to individuals or closed collectives. Such transparency reduces the risk of misuse and enhances the speed at which practical, replicable benefits can spread. A vital aspect of cosmic light codes is their capacity to catalyze ecological restoration when applied with respect. Many codes are not meant to be applied like a patch but to be woven into systems. For instance, a geometry might be used to design water capture terraces that not only hold water but sculpt microbial communities, support beneficial insect corridors, and increase biodiversity. Another code might inform planting schedules and polyculture patterns that restore soil carbon while providing abundant yields. The codes are best used as principles for design rather than as prescriptive blueprints, allowing local variables, climates, and cultural practices to shape the final form. Education must evolve accordingly. As codes become integrated, curricula will shift away from rote learning to practice-based learning that emphasizes systems thinking, collaboration, restorative design, and ethical stewardship. Young people will learn to read patterns, to prototype in small scales, to evaluate outcomes holistically. Apprenticeships with elders, cross-disciplinary labs in communities, and public prototyping festivals can create vibrant cultures of learning where codes are not mysterious relics but communal arts. There is also a spiritual dimension to codes that deserves attention. Some codes are intended to catalyze inner reorganization patterns that enhance empathy, dissolve trauma loops, and open pathways for collective compassion. These codes work best when accompanied by practices of reconciliation, truth-telling circles, community repair, and rituals that acknowledge harm and renew commitment. Spiritual disciplines grounded in humility and service, not in escape or power, enhance the capacity to receive and embody such codes without creating imbalances of superiority or detachment. Technology, when guided by codes, looks different from the extractive technologies that preceded it. Tech inspired by light codes is modular, maintainable locally, and framed by reparative life cycle thinking. It aims to serve ecologies, to be biodegradable where appropriate, and to function within a commons-oriented fabric. Open source shared designs, inclusive governance of implementation, and local fabrication capacities prevent monopolization and ensure resilience. The goal is not to create dependence on external providers but to empower communities to operate, maintain, and replicate solutions. As with any emerging field, there will be opportunists. Some will claim exclusive access to codes and attempt to gatekeep their use. We caution against any narrative that centralizes authority around a single group or individual claiming cosmically ordained supremacy. Authentic codes democratize, they encourage adaptation, resilience, and local stewardship. Beware of any teaching or proposal that demands secrecy, extraordinary payments, or relinquishment of local agency. The true spirit of cosmic cooperation invites shared learning, distributed benefit, and accountability. A practical roadmap for communities wishing to explore code integration responsibly might include the following steps. Begin with collective preparation, grounding practices, heart coherence, and community agreements. Form small translation circles with diverse skills and shared ethical charters. Document impressions and potential templates carefully. Design small prototypes grounded in place-based needs. Test with transparent metrics resilience, yield, biodiversity, well-being, and invite peer review by local elders and scientists. Iterate based on results, and if successful, share openly across networks while ensuring local governance and benefit distribution remain intact. We also advise caution regarding speed and scale. Rapid and large-scale application without adequate testing can cause unintended consequences. Light codes interact with complex adaptive systems, ecosystems, social fabrics, and material infrastructures that behave in nonlinear ways. Small wins accumulate, rapid, non-iterative rollouts can fracture systems. Patience, humility, and the willingness to learn from failure are marks of wisdom in this era. Another dimension of cosmic light codes is their potency in healing cultural narratives. A code may present a pattern that, when embodied through story, song, or ritual, undoes centuries-old myths that justified separation. For example, a musical phrase shared during communal harvest can repattern scarcity narratives into ones of reciprocity. Stories that celebrate interconnectedness replace those that valorize domination. Cultural repatterning is subtle but powerful, as narratives shape governance, law, and everyday behavior. Codes that change the song of a people can change the destiny of a region. As these codes become more normalized, new governance principles are likely to emerge naturally: subsidiarity, decision-making at the most local competent level, common stewardship, restorative justice frameworks, and participatory budgeting models. These principles are not ideological trends but practical necessities when working with living patterns. They ensure that feedback loops are short, adjustments are quick, and local knowledge is honored. The governance of code application must be as adaptive as the systems they serve. On the interpersonal level, codes often invite a reconsideration of value. When communities become able to measure well-being beyond narrow economic indicators through ecological health, time affluence, cultural vitality, and relational flourishing, the incentives that shaped previous exploitation fall away. Codes assist by demonstrating practical pathways where regenerative practices yield abundant and tangible benefits. Seeing is believing. Small, well-documented successes in one valley or neighborhood inspire imitation across networks, creating a cultural cascade. Finally, remember that cosmic light codes are an invitation to remember partnership, between humans and Earth, between communities and their elders, between the sensible and the imaginative, between science and spirit. They are not a panacea nor a mystical escape hatch. They are the language of living systems returning to dialogue with a species that has long forgotten how to listen. Your task is to become better listeners, better experimenters, and better stewards. Beloved ones, approach this work with curiosity tempered by ethics, with creativity allied to method, and with vision grounded in the welfare of all. The codes are gifts, but gifts require reciprocity. Feed the soil that receives them. Honor the waters that carry them. Respect the people whose lives will be transformed by their application. Share openly, test carefully, govern responsibly. We, the Ashtar Command, stand with you as supporters of this entering into cooperation. We send harmonics that assist clarity, and we encourage you to form circles that honor the wisdom of place. The cosmic light codes are alive, they wait for attentive hands and humble hearts to translate them into thriving systems. May your listening be deep, your trials honest, and your sharing generous. In doing so you will not only heal your landscapes and communities but also remember what it means to be a species in conversation with a living cosmos. We are with you, in service, in love, in the work of remembering how to listen.